Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Eddie. Eddie is from San Diego in California in the USA. So let's see what Eddie has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Hi there.
Hello, Eddie. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Thank you so much for taking the time the interview this morning. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. And thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
So how was your Christmas?
It was actually very low key. We didn't really do much. My family's kind of different. We celebrate our holidays on our own schedule. So
Okay.
everybody has something going on this weekend. So we're actually celebrating Christmas this Friday.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
people, they kind of arrange their time with Christmas to accommodate everyone, isn't it? There's always some different arrangements.
Yes.
Eddie, and where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Las Vegas, but I joined the Navy in 2002, and the Navy brought me to San Diego, and I've been here ever since.
Oh, wow. And are you still in the Navy?
Nope. I got out of the military in 2010.
I see. So you're originally from Las Vegas, but you've been living in San Diego now, in California.
Yes.
And how long have you been there for?
Since 2002.
2002? Wow. Actually, 20 years now, yeah? Almost
20 years, yeah.
Do you know how I know that? It was the year I'm originally from Brazil, and I moved to Portugal in 2002 as well. So I know very well the time.
Okay.
And all your family are back in Las Vegas?
I have two sisters that live still in Vegas, but I got my mom to move out here to San Diego. So my mom lives literally down the street from me.
And what's the best part of living in San Diego, in your opinion?
The weather.
I knew you would say that.
I mean, it was like 75 degrees yesterday. We were all in shorts. People were at the beach. And then everybody else is shivering cold, talking about how cold the weather is where they're at. So I'm blessed, very lucky.
How far are you from the beach?
About 10 minutes.
So lucky. My goodness, I wish I could say the same. So tell me, what do you do for a living right now, Eddie?
I'm a social worker. I'm a social worker. I work with veterans. I work in like a hospital setting and stuff like that.
So tell me a little bit about your job. Walk me through your daily basis.
Okay. So when I get to work, I check in. We do a meeting with all the nurses and all the providers, and we find out what the patients need to discharge. If there's an issue that they can't discharge, so it's like housing, maybe they need special care, a higher level of care. They're homeless, different things. Then they would put a consult in with the social worker. So then at that meeting, we find out what's needed. And then throughout the day, we just meet with all the different patients, and we try to give them resources, and we try to give them, opportunities and resources so they can discharge in a safe way.
I see. And there's always a lot of people that you work with.
Yeah, well, I have a good team. I have about like 7 other social workers that we work with. Yeah.
Amazing. Eddie, before we start our journey, William the Magic Box, would you like to tell me something interesting about yourself?
Something interesting about myself? Let's see. I'm also a cosmetologist, a licensed cosmetologist. When I first got out of the Navy, I wanted to cut hair, so I got my license. I didn't really use it. I just like the discount, I guess.
So you don't practice it nowadays?
No. I mean, sometimes I worked at a barbershop for a little bit and I love it, but I'm really creative. So I like it as a creative outlet. When I have to do it, like somebody tells me what they want all day, it feels like a chore, and it takes the creativity out of it.
I see. Amazing. Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
Yes.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So this is my best friend. Okay, full of random fun questions. I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to move a little bit before the first question. Let's do it.
Okay.
Right, Eddie, before we start the game, during the journey, if there is a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, what is the most memorable lesson you've learned from your parents?
The most important, most memorable lesson would be that hard work pays off. My mom has instilled that in me, ever since I was a young kid. I've watched her work several jobs as a single parent, and so I just really seen that work ethic and seen what it produces, and so I take that with me into my day now.
Wow. Are you very close to your mom?
I am. I'm very, like I said, she lives down the street. So, I mean, so I am like I guess the mama's boy, so. Yeah.
What's the biggest similarity between both and what's the biggest difference?
The biggest similarity is that let's see, we're probably bad managing money. And I think the most difference is that we're not afraid of like personal growth, I think. So changing those financial management issues, she's a little older. So as you get older, you get a little more stubborn and stuck in your ways. So I've learned to just, take a step back and just let her be her.
Amazing. And she moved from Las Vegas to San Diego because of you?
Yeah.
I see.
Well, I kept getting her to visit out here, and I knew if she just kept visiting and the weather, she would move out, and she did.
And what's the biggest difference between Las Vegas and San Diego? I mean, besides the weather, are kind of the same or not?
Besides the weather, so it's a lot more spread out in Vegas. There's not a lot of community, because it's a transit town. There's people, the visitors, so it doesn't feel like in San Diego. There's little pockets of community. I live in North Park, and so that is our community. It has everything it needs, but there's also community surrounding it, and it gets a better feel for your neighbors and stuff.
When I think about Las Vegas, I mean, not just me, but I'm sure a lot of people around the world that they never been in Las Vegas before. They always have this impression about the energy, about party. Someone growing up there, it's that like people that are right. The vibe of the city is always like that or not. Living that is different concept.
Yeah, you can get anything you want at 24 hours a day. Anything's open, whatever your heart desires, which is a good thing, but also a very bad thing. I remember when I first got to San Diego, and I was 21 by this time, and I was at a bar, and my friends told me it was last call for alcohol, and I was surprised. I was like, "What happened? Like, did something happen? Why are they closing the bar?" And they're like, "No, the bar closes." I was like, "What? The bar closes?" I mean, in Vegas, everything stays open all day. So I like that now. It tells you, hey, it's time to go home.
Amazing. Next one, let's do it, Eddie. Next question for you is, what is the weirdest dream you always had? Sorry, what's the weirdest dream you ever had?
I think the weirdest dream I've ever had was me. I think I kind of have like a reoccurring dream where I'm like, I can't talk. And I think that's pretty weird. I mean, I don't know if that's, I probably had weirder dreams, but for me, it's kind of consistent. So that's the thing personally that comes to my mind is I have a lot of dreams where I just can't talk. I mean, I like, I'm forcing the words out, but nothing's coming out. I feel like I'm duct tape or something. I wonder what that means.
I have the same dreams as well, but driving a car. For some reason, the car doesn't move. Can you imagine? Since a young age, I still have sometimes, and it's so frustrating because I don't know what can I do. I put everything right, and the car doesn't move. It actually doesn't move, and I get so frustrated. And yeah, I wake up sometimes like feeling tired sometimes. I think it's because of that. It doesn't happen very often, but it's a dream that I always had since a young age. I don't know what the meaning, but the car never moves, and I go like push. See, literally, it doesn't move. Literally, and
I understand.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like wake up like feeling very frustrated at the same time, like tired. I think I spent so much energy doing the dream that I don't understand why.
Yeah, we need to figure out why we're having these dreams.
I know. I think people watch the interview now. They could like write down that comment. Actually, it means that, or actually, it means this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Next question. Eddie, before the next question, so tell me a little bit about your journey in the Navy. So tell me how the opportunity started.
So it actually is it's a funny story because I wasn't really pro-military. Like I didn't want to join the military. I didn't care about the military. I tried to go to college a year after high school, and I dropped out both semesters. It wasn't ready for it. And then, I was having issues with my mom, with my job. Then there was a whole part of like my sexuality that I wasn't really understanding. And then so a recruiter called and I was like, hey, yeah, I'll go see you tomorrow. I went to go see him tomorrow, took the test. I said, how's the quickest you can get me out of here? He said, I could get you out of here in 2 weeks. I was like, let's do it because if I'll change my mind. And I didn't even tell my family for a week. So they only knew for a week that I was going to leave because I didn't want them to talk me out of it. So then that's how my journey started. And then once I got there, it was it's the best decision I've ever made. It kind of pulled me from that home environment and forced me to grow up, be responsible and accountable. I was able to like become a man. I'm so blessed and grateful because I spent my whole 10 years here in San Diego. I was on 3 ships and I was on shore duty out here. Got to travel all around the world. My job was I had a gun system and a missile system that I maintained. Yeah, and then I was on a boarding team and we'd board foreign vessels just to make sure they weren't, check their manifest and everything like that.
My God. And also, when you started, like when you decided to go, you were out as a gay guy at the time or not? And how was being gay in the Navy, in the military?
Well, I mean, I had a good experience, but I know that's not the same for everybody else. I think a little, I don't know, I think I just blend in a little bit more so I don't get, picked on as much, but also I didn't tell anybody for like the first couple of years. So then I give them a chance to like meet me for me as a person. And then it came out and they didn't care, they treated me like, their little brother, it was a really good experience, but I can't say that that's the same for people I served with that are also LGBT. Like I've seen them, get made fun of and stuff like that. And there's some unfortunate stuff, but I was lucky in that sense.
And when you decide to come out in your workplace, did something happen or you just felt, okay, I just want to be myself, my true self right now?
Well, it was definitely a process, because so when I left to the Navy and I wanted to explore that, because back home, everybody I grew up around was really homophobic and I didn't think that I could explore that. I didn't even really know what it was. But then when I got to the Navy, I befriended a lesbian and her girlfriend. We became really close friends. And they used to take me out to the bars and used to kind of like get me slowly acclimated. And then I was doing that for some time. And finally I just like, okay, I'm gay. I think I'm gay. So that was the process. And then when it came by that time at work, that was when I was before I was on the ship. So by the time I got to the ship, I already knew I was gay. I just knew that it was something that I had to kind of keep tucked under just until the right time. Because I knew people, they tend to judge you when they know something about you without knowing you. So I didn't want that to happen.
It's interesting saying that, Ed, because I had some guests on the show, and they had the different story over there, you know what I mean? Really drastic stories there. So it's interesting you sharing that as well, because again, it can happen with different people, but also you can be yourself and have a great time there as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's
yes, for sure.
I'm glad you're sharing that because so people can understand as well. It's not always like that. There's always, it can go different direction, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Next question for you is, if you could make up a brand new school subject, what that would be?
Well, particular to America, I would have a subject just focused on our history in the sense of like slavery, the sense of racial injustice. I mean, the things that I face or that I see in America are a direct result of that, and we don't acknowledge that. We don't acknowledge, how we got to this point. I really like Berlin. I like that they keep their history out there, and they have museums that are free. They want you to learn about this, so that doesn't happen again. In America, we don't have that. You know, it's kind of tucked under the rug. And I wish that in they kind of like smooth it out and make it seem like it wasn't as serious as it is. But you know, a lot of things that we deal with today are a direct result from, you know, that time.
See, all right. The message out there. Imagine someone write down now and said, you know what, could be a good idea.
Yeah.
Next one. Hey, next question for you is, what is the most difficult thing have you ever done?
The most difficult thing I've ever had to do was actually leaving, was joining the Navy. I hate, you know, coming back to the Navy, but at that time, like, you know, like I said, I'm a mama's boy. You know, never even left Vegas at that time to leave. And I went to Chicago for my boot camp. Like that was that was a lot, you know, saying and then when I left, getting into boot camp, getting screamed at and getting yelled at and getting feel like I couldn't, like, you know, I didn't have my mom there. I didn't have my family. It was terrifying. It was really terrifying. There was a lot of times where I regretted. I wondered if I did was right, but I'm stuck with it. And yeah, stuck with it. And slowly, I think what they do in the military is they like break you down to build you up. Like they have to, like, you know, create a strong foundation so they could build on it. And so that's what was happening.
During your career, did you ever thought about giving up?
Yeah, I did. Especially toward the end when I was going to get out. Like I definitely, because now I was, you know, at the point of I wanted to live my life. I wanted to, you know, kind of, you know, have a relationship, you know, consistent relationship. But in the military, it's impossible because I was going out to sea all the time, 6-month deployments. You know, you're just detached from. And at that time, the internet wasn't as good as it is now. So I mean, you wouldn't get you. I'd come back to the States and I'd feel like a foreigner. I didn't know anything that was going on, the popular music, the songs, nothing. I was like an alien.
Next question, let's do it. But before the next one, tell me, what do you like the most about your current job? And also the flip side, what's the most challenging part?
Okay, so what I love the most is creating the relationships with the patients, because like I said, I work with veterans, and a lot of the social workers I work with, they're not veterans. So I get that opportunity. Once they find out I'm a veteran, we build this strong connection where they know, hey, you kind of know what I'm going through. I get the chance to deal with or work with support a lot of veterans in their substance abuse issues, which is very near and dear to my heart, especially homelessness. And I think they kind of mental health, I think they all kind of go under one umbrella, you know? So that's the thing that I see in San Diego is the most pressing issue is our homelessness, our the substance abuse issues, mental health. So what I get to do every day is I get to have a hand in that and help out. And on the flip side of that, the most challenging is it's complex. It's complex, and there's a lot of factors go into that. So as much as many resources I could provide, support I could provide, the person still has to want that help. And they you know, and so that's the difficult part. And I have to allow them to be, you know, their own person and self-determination and say, well, this is your life. You know what I'm saying? We're here, but knowing that what they're walking into. And then I think that's the hardest part is just letting, you know, people make their own decisions when you know it's not in their best interest.
I'm sure work with people, Ed, you deal with a lot of energy. Yeah, you get this energy from people. You know, when you know as you said, sometimes they might not be in the best mood, and somehow you get this energy, like this, let's say, negative or maybe challenge energy. How do you manage not to take this to your personal life? Do you use like a mechanism to kind of, okay, I'm live here, I'm going to leave this, you know, situation or let's say energy here, and I'm going to carry on with my life? I'm sure it might be a bit difficult.
Yeah, there's a lot of self-care that goes involved. I mean, it starts, you know, with my structure. I have a good structure in place, and I'm consistent with it. And it starts in the morning as soon as I get up. You know, I meditate. You know, I use a Headspace app. You know, and it's wonders. It just sets the tone for the day. Wow. I work out right after that before I go to work. So I always work out before work, get to work, and then once I come home, like I get the chance to kind of finally release. I get to play on my phone. I get to, just enjoy my little time before I get ready for the next day. And then I also, I seek the therapist. I have my own therapist that I see once a month, just to check in and just to kind of bounce, some, like I said, the hard part of like letting these, these people, go into these environments and these situations, sometimes I just have to like, get through those emotions. But there's a lot of, besides the meditating, there's, a lot of just communicating with the people I love and, telling them, talking to them about, what's going on in their life and the same thing that's going on in my life. And I think that's important, just to keep, just talk, and it's sometimes just talking is, all you need just to get it off your chest, just to feel like you can put that in the air.
Absolutely. Okay. Next question is, what is your most embarrassing moment?
Let's see. My most embarrassing moment. Well, I mean, recently I've been super embarrassed because I make a few TikToks and they got pretty popular, I guess. But one of them just got really, really popular. And then I started getting comments from former students. So before I worked in the healthcare field, I worked in education. I was a high school counselor. So that was embarrassing because their adult content, it's like not like, X-rated or anything like that, but it's definitely something I felt embarrassed about. And they were all in the comments saying, "Mr. Q?" ? Like, is that you? I was like, oh my God. So I didn't post for like 2 weeks after that. I was terrified. I was like, oh man.
Are you over it already? Are you kind of proud that you put out this video, or still?
Okay, so yeah, so I talked about this with my friends, and I told them what happened, and they're like, "So what does it matter? You're not, working in education anymore." And I'm like, "You're right." So like I had battled with this, but it took me 2 weeks to do it again, and so I really thought about it. And I was like, I got to live my life. I'm an adult, and I think that people who get on that app, they know what they're getting into, and it's not for everybody. And obviously, it's not anything that's taken down or banned, so it's not that bad. But it's just for a different audience. So that that was something that I had to like I still think about that every time I post something. I think about, oh man, who's gonna see this?
I'm curious now to go there to have a look, to check it out.
I really enjoyed making it. It was pretty funny. I like making videos that I think are funny. I'll watch my own videos and laugh. Like that's how that. Yeah.
No, and actually it's quite interesting because, as you said, the students were like, "Oh, it's you." But in a way, it's good for to see the difference. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you are, this person, but at the same time as well, you are funny or you are vulnerable. You can do things that you can share. You just express yourself, so people can see a little bit more the other side of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Ready for another one?
Yes.
Let's do it. Next question. Next question for you is, this one is going to be very easy for you. Where is the most exotic place have you ever been?
Ooh, exotic?
Yeah.
I mean, Berlin. I mean, it's funny that I accidentally went to Berlin when I was in college. When I was in my undergrad, I had to do an international experience, and Berlin was one of the cities, and I picked it. And I randomly picked the same weekend that they had like a Easter leather festival weekend. Ooh. So I was walking into wow, they get down there. And I appreciate that. I learned so much from that time. It really changed a lot about who I am as a person, like their directness. I think in America, we have like a lot of fluff. You come into a store, it's like, "Hi, can I help you? What do you want?" In Germany, it's like, "What do you need? Here, next." And at first I was like, "Dude, what the hell is going on?" But after a while, I learned it's about efficiency, and I take that with me now when I'm communicating, I'm really direct, and I find that works really well for me.
First time I've been in Berlin once, and it was summertime, and I had two friends who live there, and they were walking me around the city, and they are very open there. They can be very free, and we went to this park. It was like in the middle of the city, and people was literally naked, and I was like, oh. It's something I know, William, and people, they are literally sunbath, they're literally like having their time, and people, they are literally walking by, passing by, everything was fine. Do you know what I mean? And I felt interesting because you know, it's kind of for us to go there for the first time, feel like, oh my goodness, what's that? But you realize that even though they don't feel comfortable, uncomfortable, they feel like, okay, you know, it's normal. And actually, you open your minds a bit regarding that, or even not a bit, a lot, because you see things, or you know, people there, as you said, very directly, they, you know, they express themselves in a very natural way. And sometimes it's just different that you're not got used to it. And it's good to see those cultural contrasts for us to open our mind as well somehow.
No, I agree completely.
Yeah, I think Berlin, it's a place to visit, it's a place to go. And as you said, if you're lucky enough to go on those events, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I loved it so much. I went back the next year the same time on my own.
I'm not gonna ask you what you have done during this time, okay, Ed? I'm gonna live there, okay, in Berlin, okay? I'm not gonna ask what you did there during that time, okay?
Okay.
Next, next question, let's do it. Before the next question, as you're talking about, you know, traveling for during the military career, did you tell me the place that you went like, oh my God, I never thought of being here in my life, and share like an experience that you had in a foreign country during your time in the military, something that you're never going to forget?
I think Sydney stands out to me, Australia. We got to travel throughout Australia, and so I got to see, you know, up north where it's a little, you know, it's not as popular and it's not as, you know, populated. But once I got to Sydney, I was just blown away because it's such an Americanized city and it feels like America, but like without judgment. I mean, or not even judgment. It's like there's more genuineness. Like it's like I noticed in Australia when people ask you like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like they really want to know how's it going, and it's not just something you say in passing. So I would have random conversations with people, like really, you know, random, and then they would just walk away like nothing. Like there was nothing. There was no ulterior motives. They weren't lame or something, you know. And I feel like that's not the case here in the States.
I see. All right. Next question is, as a child, have you ever stole anything and how did it happen?
Yes, I did. So when I think it was in elementary school, I remember we used to walk to school and we used to stop by our 7-Eleven, it's like a convenience store. And all the kids were doing this. And so like so what they were doing was they were taking like the slushies and then they were putting a candy bar in it so that they would just get charged for the yes, I did that. Of course, I felt so horrible. I was just like, okay, I can't do this. Because like at that time, I thought, you know, I was going to go to jail. You know, I was like, okay. But it was, yeah, that was like.
Those experience, childhood experience, I think all of us have been through that. Or even be tempted to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was more peer pressure. It was like, because everybody's doing it. So I felt like, oh, it's not a bad thing. But then once I was by myself, I was like, dude, I just stole something. Like, oh my God.
3 questions left for you. Let's do it. Okay. Let's pretend I'm gonna come to San Diego for the very first time. You'll take me? What's the best place to visit? What is a must to see or to go?
Let's see. I think the beaches are pretty like, you know, I think that's standard. But let's see.
How is being gay?
I think a particular beach. I think Ocean Beach for me is like, so all the beaches are kind of like different. So like there's beaches that are more geared toward the younger crowd, college kids. Ocean Beach is like the hippie beach. And it's kind of a, you know, it's very carefree. You know, it's a lot of people that are just, you know, kind of like what I was talking about in Australia. They're just there to hang out. They're not, you know, looking for anything. There's homeless people there, but they're not asking for money. They're living, you know. And I think that it's a small enough community where everybody kind of knows each other. So it feels like, you know, very homely, but they have a long pier and the pier goes out into the ocean and they have like a restaurant on there. And I think that's a great like experience in San Diego because you get to see all of San Diego, the line, and then the water's coming in on you. It's pretty intense.
It's okay to be gay in San Diego? You feel safe? You feel free?
Yes, 100%. It's a conservative town, but there's a lot of gay people here. And like I said, there's little communities. We have our own community called Hillcrest, which is, you know, the gay community. But next to that, where I live, North Park, it kind of infiltrated to North Park. And I think that what I like now, when I was younger, everybody stayed in Hillcrest. Now people live around the city and they're more comfortable. They're not afraid of going out and being gay, or just like expressing like affection, or just expressing themselves. And no, I mean, but I think as a society, we've gotten to a point where it's super normalized, where it's not a big deal at all.
See, all right. Next question is, describe yourself in 3 words.
Humble, caring, and empathetic.
In a negative one, what that would be? One negative word.
Let's see. I could be obsessive sometimes.
Interesting. What's your star sign or astrology?
I'm a Pisces.
My mom is Pisces. Interesting. 2 questions left for you. Let's do it. But before the next question, during your time in the military, tell me, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned during your time there that you're gonna go for the rest of your life? There's something that you are very grateful for, that experience, that journey, that made you a better person, or something that you are very thankful for?
I love what I loved about the military is that there's, people who come from around the country, and so they come from different cultures essentially. And they have their own beliefs, their own judgment, their own morals. They're just their own culture. And then when you come to the military, you're kind of guarded, and you're it's like me and you. But the more time you spend with somebody, that kind of blends, and you just seek to understand each other. So what I've learned in the military is that, it's really important to understand each other. You don't have to agree, you don't have to like, you just have to understand. And then when you understand, that person makes a lot more sense. And then you kind of like, that's who they are. And I think that, I remember when I first got into the military, and I met a guy from down south somewhere, I think it was in Louisiana, and he was racist. Like he said the N-word, like he meant it. And at first, like I was taken back, but I also wanted to know more about that. And then when I started to learn about his culture and the way he came up, and it made sense that, in his town, there's no black people. There's only people that look like him, and he didn't know anybody else. By the time, we spent the military, toward the end, he was best friends with a black guy, which was really cool. And I got to see that, journey. It was really neat.
Wow, beautiful. Next question is, what's the best advice have you ever given?
The best advice I've ever given is, you can't make someone love you. All you can do is be someone who can be loved. The rest is up to them.
How did I come across this beautiful message to you? As based on a personal life, personal event, or you just learned through your...
Yeah. I mean, I've only had like two solid real relationships, but I think I in those I've learned, that what I want, isn't necessarily what's right, and I have to respect that, and I can't force it. There's a lot of controlling things that I was like, I wanted this to work out, I wanted this, to happen, but in the end, like now, learning from that, I feel so, comfortable in my skin. I feel so comfortable who I am as a person that I don't care, I guess. I learned to like not care and just like, I'm me. And, if somebody likes it, they do. If they don't, that's fine. Somebody will.
Absolutely. I think when you are truly yourself, there's always someone who's going to spot you and going to like the way you are. The other people, it's just... if they cannot see the real person, they're never gonna get to you, and it's okay as well. You know what I mean? So it's okay. But the one there who is gonna like spot you, like exactly the way that you are, or the way you feel, your truly self. That's how things start to kind of work out.
Yep.
Ready for the last one?
Yes, sir.
Last question. Okay, Eddie, from San Diego, before the last question, people watching the interview right now, they would like to start a career in, the military or Navy, or, adventure themselves. What would be your best piece of advice?
My best advice would be to go into it with an open mind and have a plan when you leave.
Which kind of plan?
Like a plan for life, like a plan for your next step.
I
I
see.
think a lot of people, when they get into the military, it's not what they like, which is fine.
Mhm.
And then they're just so head pressed on getting out that they don't even know what they're going to do when they get out. And I've seen a lot of people struggle to make that next step because they didn't plan for it, you know. And I think it's really important. If the military is not for you, that's fine. But it's important to take all the resources you can from it and get what you can from the military and use that in the next step of your life.
In the military, do you think it opened a lot of doors afterwards?
Yes, 100%. Well, for one, I got to go to college. They paid for college. I had to pay a little bit, but also like my medical care, my health care. There's so many resources that are there for veterans that a lot of people don't know about. But they have something for everyone. Whether you're having financial issues or you're having relationship issues, there's mental health. I seek my therapy through the VA care. Just things like that.
Okay. Last question for you is, if you had only 24 hours of life, what would you do?
Go to Berlin. No, just
kidding. I'm sure you would. I'm sure. You just like.
I would have to spend it with my family.
In Berlin. In Berlin.
In Berlin. Yeah, there you go. I like that. I like that.
It's so interesting you talk about Berlin because before Christmas, I had the interview with a lovely guy. Actually, his interview goes live tonight. His interview. I had the interview, and his dream, one of his wishes, bucket list, is to go to Berlin. And a few weeks before, I had an interview with somebody from Australia. Actually, he's living in Berlin right now, and he's been there for I think 4 months. And he said to me, the interview, William. I said, "Oh, so how long do you want to be there?" And he was like, "William, I want to be here for good now." And I was like, "Okay, so tell me why." So it's interesting to see, to see different people from different parts of the world and some connection with different places, like in this case, Berlin. It's amazing. I see you there at one point. Did you tell me when you go there so I can just fly like 2 hours and I can meet you there, okay? So you can show me around in a different way.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay?
Will do.
It's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. I'm going to give away some words and just tell me one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Okay.
So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like. Don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game. Family.
Love.
How about money?
Evil.
One word for love.
Understanding.
Sex.
Amazing.
Politics.
Confusing.
Life.
Gratitude.
Religion.
Let's see. I don't know. When I think about religion, I think about personal choice, I think.
Okay. Fear.
Important.
Friendship.
Support.
Desire.
Motivation.
Regret.
Learning.
Success.
Hard work.
Wish.
To not have high expectations. I don't know if that, I'm trying to figure out a word for that. Like,
okay. Happiness.
Essential.
One word for Las Vegas.
Home.
One word for San Diego.
Paradise.
How about USA? One word.
It's challenging.
The last one now, if you could define your experience in the Navy, as a military, what would be one word?
It's life-changing.
One. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your lovely mom for a coffee, yeah? And I'm going to ask her, what is the most beautiful thing about Eddie, and what's something that he still needs to work on, to improve on? What she would say?
She would definitely say that I'm very comfortable with talking about my deficiencies and my areas for growth, and being accountable for things that have gone on in my past. It's been a rough journey, and I've always been able to be accountable and to be honest about it, be transparent. And I think that that's something that I know she always tells me how much she appreciates that. I was able to get through a lot of hard times by just being honest with myself, more importantly.
Mm-hmm. Good, very good. I hope she watched the interview and she's gonna go like, you are totally right.
Yeah.
Saying that, actually, when I was briefly checking your profile, I could see you're showing your love to 2 kids. Are they part of your family?
Yes, yeah, that's my nephew and my niece. Yeah.
Oh.
I actually have 11 nephews and nieces, but only 2 live here in San Diego. Yeah.
11.
Well, I'm sorry, 4 live in San Diego, but those are the 2 youngest.
Wow, big family, 11. Wow.
Yeah, I have 5 sisters.
You are the only boy in 5 out of 5.
Only boy.
The youngest, the youngest or the oldest?
In the middle, third youngest. Yeah.
See. Let's play now, Eddie, and the magic box, and you can ask me a question. But actually, before you ask me the question, one word for Berlin.
Pure.
Okay. You can ask me a question.
P-U-R.
Just to clarify, yeah?
Yeah.
You can ask me a question now.
What's your biggest fear?
Wow, good question, actually. Right, the first thing that came to my mind is that my biggest fear is to leave things like not sorted, things that for some reason I could accomplish, like anything that involves something that, like something like a relationship that maybe, when I say relationship, doesn't mean a love relationship, could be like a friendship or something that, wasn't sorted, we didn't talk about or we didn't discuss properly. Even with my family back in Brazil, like my mom as well, like something that maybe I didn't do with her that we could have done together, that I had my bucket list. And, I think that's something that when I think about fear is about that, something that I had opportunity of doing it and I didn't do it for some reason, or I just left to do another time, or kind of let it go. Do you know what I mean? So that's...
No, I totally get that. I totally understand. Before I worked at where I work now, I worked at a cemetery for 1.5 years. I get to lay to rest our veterans and their spouses. So I got to see grief every day. And I got to see exactly what you're talking about, having that fear of, not having closure, not having some type of, discussion, or just, an understanding of what's going on. I think that that's really important.
I'll tell you something now, Ed. I'm going to share something with you. A few years ago, my mom, for her 51st birthday, it was 5 years ago, I organized a trip for her to come to Europe. So we did like a tour. We didn't go to Berlin, but we went to Paris, we went to Amsterdam, so we went to different places. And was her first time that she left Brazil, was her first time in a plane, was her first time that she saw the sea in her life. Because where I come from, Brazil, it's in the middle of Brazil, so we are far away from the seaside, like 2 hours by plane, the closest. So everything for her was the first. And it's so interesting because I'll never forget her face seeing the sea for the very first time in Portugal. And I remember, look, she didn't realize that I was staring at her, and her eyes was like, my God, the feeling of seeing my mom just see the sea for the very first time. I remember I had this feeling with myself, my God, if I'll die right now, I would go happy. So do you know what I mean? Because it was so beautiful to have this. I have goosebumps now saying that, because it was so powerful to see my mom, come to Europe for the very first time, seeing London. Oh my God, everything. And it was such a beautiful gift. Actually, the gift was for me, not for her, because just to see her, like being here. And actually, I somehow I felt. I never been scared of dying, but in the back of your mind, you always have this thing, I don't want to go now. I have this feeling. But since that day, literally, all gone, all gone now. I feel more confident myself. It was one of the biggest thing that happened in my life was, having my mom here for the very first time. I think after that, I just felt so relaxed about a lot of things, if you know what I mean. I just felt
that's beautiful.
relaxed.
That's beautiful to hear.
Yeah, I felt relaxed, and I felt like, okay, you know what? I felt even more brave as well. I said, I can try more things. I can go like without any fear, because just to have this moment with her, it opened a lot of doors and broke a lot of things that maybe wasn't sorted in my personality or my fears, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's something I'd like to share. Did you enjoy the interview?
Yep. Well, thank you.
Thanks so much for taking the time and for being kind. Okay, but before you go, if you can share a positive message, something that you live by.
Let's see. I think it's important to ask people what their definition of love is, because everybody has a different definition, and when you get to hear somebody's definition, you understand what they need from you.
And what's your definition of love?
It's trust. It's non-judgmental. It is caring on a level that is it's the top of, it's the highest form of caring, when you can care about another individual to the point of that you want their best interest in their the best thing for them, and you want their happiness, and that's tied into trust too. The trust is like the huge part for me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, regards to your mom and to your family, and you keep in touch. Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why do you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.